Hey guys, welcome back to day 6 of 25 Days of Christmas with TJ 2023. We've been looking at a lot of diesels, and I'm going to keep going on with diesels here for a little bit. But again, this is something that was new to the channel this year in 2023, and it actually came to me back in, I believe it was May, and that is this Lionel Legacy Southern SD40 high hood. It actually came from Roundhouse South Electric Trains. Big shout out to Tony for being able to track this down and actually had it in the back. Something that I thought would be really cool to have, especially with the Norfolk Southern SD45 that I've got. And my good friend Tom, of course, I call him my concierge, if you will, for shopping at Roundhouse South. He went and picked it up for me, tested it, made sure everything was good. Even our good buddy Zach over at Country Bunkers Trains got to mess with these engines a little bit before they came north. But I'm super excited to have it. It's just a very elegant paint scheme. With my family's involvement with the North Carolina Transportation Museum, being that it's a former Southern site, you got to have a little bit of Southern. And 3170 did actually spend some time on the museum grounds before it went to TVRM. My dad has the 2601 high hood Jeep 30, so there's a bunch of photos of those two together. So it's kind of cool to just be able to, again, tie something in that's family related into the model and give you a little bit more meaning than, oh, it's just another engine. But this actually is an engine that I did weather. I wanted it to be a pair with the SD45. I know some people are like, oh my God, you weathered an engine that's at a museum. Yeah, I did, but I'm going for the late 80s or early 80s, late 70s, right at the beginning of the transition from Southern and Norfolk Western to Norfolk Southern. So that's what I was aiming for with it. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at this engine. So diving in here for a little bit of a closer look at it, one thing that I really do appreciate and will give Lionel props for is the accurate Southern detail that they did on it. It's really nice. The SD40s did have bells on the long hood, whereas the SD45s had the bells on the short hood, and the SD40s did have horns on the front and rear. So really nice for them to do that. Same as the SD45, I did convert this over to Kadees and did have to do some work on the kinematic pilots. Again, the kinematic pilot is such a great idea. I really do like the theory. Just the execution isn't the greatest. It takes a little bit of work, but once you do a little bit of fabricating on them and tweaking them and definitely putting Kadees on them, I think they're phenomenal. But I did do a light weathering on it. I didn't want to go too hard on it or do crazy. Southern did take really good care of their engines, and even in the beginning of Norfolk Southern, they weren't terribly bad looking. So I just went with a little bit of grimy coat on it and a little hue of brown on the trucks, but nothing too crazy. Definitely an engine that I couldn't go too heavy on. It just looks too good. It's like that iconic Southern tuxedo just looks too swell. But it's definitely an engine that I really enjoy, and I'm glad to have it in the collection. And again, huge thanks to Tom for getting it for me, and huge thanks for Tony down at Roundhouse South for having it. And if you guys are looking for anything in particular, or maybe a little bit harder to find, always reach out to Tony. He's pretty good at being able to find things. I'll leave the information in the description below for his shop and phone number. But let's go ahead and run this engine and get around the layout.